Hey guys, Sean here, welcome to the F1 Word and to my first race preview of 2018. That's right, the Australian Grand Prix is right on us now. It has been a long, hard winter, but Formula One is back. So I think it's fair to say that Mercedes arrived in Australia as the early title favourites following what was a very impressive and sort of ominous pre-season. But I think the truth is, we don't really know what the running order is at this point, and we can read all the data we want, we can speculate all we want, but it's not until quali and maybe even the race when we're really going to see who is running where. On to this weekend though, and during the first press conference of 2018, Lewis Hamilton said he plans to go to another level this year to fight with those around him. The world champion also explained why he felt last year was his best in F1, stating, "It was just a combination of things, and obviously with the pressure that was on us as drivers, I think it was just the most complete year." Sebastian Vettel was then asked if he felt Ferrari had the pace to challenge Mercedes in 2018, with the German stating, "We don't have the answers right now. We try, it's a long season. If it was one race, it would be a different story, but it is a lot of races." I have to say though, Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel both looked very flat during today's press conference, although to be fair, I can imagine they get a little bit repetitive and boring, and the questions put to them today weren't brilliant for the first press conference of the season, so hopefully that improves. But I'm sure once they're out there racing, their mood will definitely pick up. Following testing, many around the paddock did actually believe that Red Bull would be the closest to Mercedes this year and would be up for a proper title fight in 2018. And Daniel Ricciardo, who believes that Red Bull are the best prepared they have ever been at this stage of a season, said, "We had a good winter. It's all in front of us now. I think we're still the top three teams, Merc, Ferrari and us. I think we're still going to be the leading pack for now, so hopefully we'll be deep in that group and have a chance to stand up on the podium." Rain is forecast for this weekend at Albert Park, with both quali and the race set to be affected, although it's expected to be a very wet Saturday overall. And that is certainly going to play into Red Bull's strengths and possibly cause a nice upset for early season and maybe just mix up that grid nicely for the race. I don't know about you guys, but I am totally up for some fast cars out of position come Sunday. It does look as though the midfield fight will be the most closely fought over the course of the season, and it may well even be the case that we have a top three and then the rest of the grid. 7 teams fighting closely at every Grand Prix is absolutely fine by me. One team, though, had a fairly quiet, I think it's fair to say, and unspectacular pre-season are Force India. And during an event held at the home of the Australian Open, both drivers had their say ahead of 2018.
I feel that plenty of hope for this one. I think it's going to be a very challenging year. You got obviously a lot of competition in the midfield, but I hope we also close the gap to the top runners. So I'm very optimistic for this year and looking forward to have a very strong year.
Yeah, I mean the car was okay, to drive, but we were not looking for performance at the moment. We were just looking for a way of working and find a way where to go, and we improved it a lot during the winter. Now we have an all new package coming for this race, so we expect a lot from it, and we'll see where we are performance-wise.
In 2017, both drivers came to blows multiple times on track, and that actually led the team to banning them from even racing each other. However, both drivers say their focus is fully on the team for this season.
Yeah, we had a couple of incidents last year. I think we've learned, we came out on top of that with the team, and towards the end of the year there was good atmosphere, we were working well together, and I think that's the priority for us. We're going to be really competitive, very close, very much the whole season, but the most important is that we push the team forward, especially now that the competition is really high.
There was a bit of clashes last year. We don't want it to happen again. It's important that we score good points for the team. We did a good end of the season together with him. We had good talks with the team together. So I don't think it will happen again, and our target is that we do the best for the team.
It also looks as though the team will be keeping the name Force India for 2018, and any name change is now unlikely before the start of the 2019 Formula One season. Following the addition of a third DRS zone at Albert Park for this weekend, if you caught last night's live stream, I'm pretty sure you know my opinions on that one. The position of the start lights has now had to be altered to compensate for the restricted view due to the halo, with even the second set of lights having to be moved to aid the pole sitter, as their view will be the most restricted of anybody on the grid. The FIA have also asked that all other circuits on the calendar do make these changes before the teams arrive for the races. Charlie Whiting has added that all teams will be allowed to carry out practice starts from the grid at the end of some of the practice sessions this weekend, something which they don't usually allow to happen. It's nice though, once again, that despite 2 weeks of pre-season testing, the FIA have waited until pretty much the last minute to make the changes that the drivers have already been raising concerns on over the winter. Following a difficult pre-season, Fernando Alonso has said that the Australian Grand Prix will be the team's lowest level of 2018. The double world champion said, "I understand we are not at the level of Mercedes or Ferrari or Red Bull now, but we should be there in a couple of races' time or in the second part of the championship because we are McLaren. It is difficult to know where we are right now because winter testing is only winter testing. I think we have a good baseline and a car to work with, but expectations are always high because we are McLaren, and we have to deliver better results than what we saw in the last years." This is the team's first year with Renault as well, of course, and many people will compare them to Red Bull throughout the course of the season, especially given the fact that that was the team's objective, to be right up there fighting with Red Bull for this season. But following the 3 years they've had, I am really hoping McLaren can spring a surprise this weekend, but I do feel they are on the back foot. But once again, it was testing, and who knows. So what are my expectations and predictions for this weekend's Grand Prix then? To be honest, this is the toughest qualifying and toughest race to predict of the year because, as I said earlier in the video, we just don't know the running order. Also, with rain coming to mix it up a little bit, we may not even know what the running order is before Bahrain. The Australian Grand Prix every year is very much a race of attrition, and drivers do turn up, sometimes by their own admission, just a little bit rusty after a long winter. That usually gives us a very interesting first few laps. I think the top three are going to be just too close to call this weekend, and that midfield is ridiculously tight. And I guess the first prediction I'm going to make is, to be honest, I think we could be in for the best Australian Grand Prix we've had in quite a while. So I think wet or dry, Lewis Hamilton is probably a safe bet for pole position on Saturday. And Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton have been talking about these extra engine modes they've got for qualifying in 2018, including what Lewis Hamilton described as a party mode. In terms of the race, I think if it's wet, Max Verstappen could seriously be challenging Lewis Hamilton for victory this weekend. Don't write off Daniel Ricciardo either because, of course, he's got the home fans behind him, as Nigel Mansell said that's got to be worth a quarter of a second a lap, although I'm not entirely convinced on that one, to be honest. If it stays dry and based off of what we know from testing so far and the way everybody around the paddock is talking, I can't really see past a Lewis Hamilton victory. But whatever the weather, there will be a Red Bull on the podium. At least one. Quite frankly, though, I don't care who wins the first race of the season. I just cannot wait to see these guys back out on track and racing again. What are your predictions for the Australian Grand Prix? Who will get pole position on Saturday and who do you see winning? What is your top three for the race? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. That is it for the Australian Grand Prix preview then. From Bahrain onwards, I think, to be honest, these videos will be a lot more fleshed out because we'll have a lot more to talk about. Right now, I'm kind of still having to go off of testing and some of the news that's floating around the paddock and obviously the driver's press conference as well. I will be back live just after qualifying on Saturday morning and then again for the race on Sunday. And I will be tweeting throughout FP1, FP2 and FP3, so make sure you follow me on social media. Links to Facebook, Twitter and to Discord are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.